Leeds International School. Form 4, First Term, Biology. Unit 1, Movement of materials in and out of the cells. Movement of materials in and out of the cells. Objectives: to understand about the movement in and out of the cells, diffusion, osmosis and transport materials in plants. Content: diffusion, osmosis, osmosis in plant cells and practical activities. Movement of materials. The movement of substances in and out of cells is a very important part of a biology, as without it no cell and so no organisms could live very long. Cells respiration shows the need for cells to be able to take in certain substances from their surrounding, such as glucose and oxygen, and get rid of others, such as carbon dioxide and water. As you have seen, the cell surface membrane can control which chemicals can pass in and out. It is described as selectively permeable. There are three ways that molecules can move through the membrane. Children, now we will see what are those. Diffusion, active transport, and osmosis. Diffusion. In the process of diffusion, a substance tends to move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration until its concentration becomes equal throughout a space. Many substances can pass through the membrane by diffusion. Children, diffusion happens when a substance is more concentrated in one place than the another. For an example, we will see in the cell is making carbon dioxide by respiration. The concentration of carbon dioxide inside the cell will be higher than the outside. You can see this picture. Diffusion happens by high concentration level to low concentration level. This process does not require any energy. The molecules of carbon dioxide are constantly moving about because of their kinetic energy. The difference in concentration is called the concentration gradient. Carbon dioxide gas in the cell. The cell membrane is permeable to carbon dioxide, so the molecules can move in either direction through it. Carbon dioxide is a small molecule that can be dissolved into water. The concentration of carbon dioxide inside will be higher than the outside. Since there is a higher concentration of carbon dioxide molecules inside the cell than the outside, over time, more molecules will move from inside to outside than move in the other direction. There is a net movement of the molecules out of the cell. Diffusion of oxygen. Children, now you know about how carbon dioxide diffuses in the cell. In this slide, we are going to see how oxygen diffuses. The opposite happens with oxygen. Respiration uses up oxygen, and so there is a concentration gradient of oxygen from outside to inside the cell. Therefore, a net movement of oxygen into the cell diffusion. Now we will see what are the factors affect the diffusion. There are four factors. Number one, the concentrate gradient. Diffusion happens more quickly when there is a steep concentration gradient. Number two, the surface area. A larger surface area in proportion to the volume will increase the rate. Number three, the distance. The rate is decreased if the distance over which diffusion has to take place is greater. Last one is, children, the temperature. The rate is greater at high temperatures. This is because a high temperature provides the particles with more kinetic energy. Now we can summarize in this table. Temperature, high temperature, diffuse faster. Surface area, large surface area, diffuse faster. Concentration gradient, higher gradient, diffuse faster. Size of particles, it means the distance. Small particles diffuse faster. Experiment. Demonstration of diffusion in a jelly. Children, agar is a jelly that is used for growing cultures of bacteria. It has a consistency similar to the cytoplasms of a cell. Like cytoplasm, it has high water content. Agar can be used to show how substances diffuse through a cell. The objectives of this experiment was to calculate the surface area to volume to ratio of pieces of agar and determine what effect this ratio had on the rate of diffusion. Now children, we will see what are the things we need. A block of stained agar, single razor blade, 4 test tubes, hydrochloric acids, syringe, white tile and stopwatch. This demonstration uses the reaction between hydrochloric acid and potassium permanganate solution. When hydrochloric acid comes into contact with potassium permanganate, what will happen, children? Now think, all of you. Yes, the purple color of the permanganate disappear. Children, now we will see how can we do this experiment. Method. Cut the agar into 3 different size cubes, 2 cm, 1 cm and 0.5 cm using a sharp razor. Now you can see the picture how we have cut the agar gel. Using the razor blade to lift the agar blocks, place each different size cube into different test tubes and label clearly. Using a syringe, immerse the blocks. Immediately start the stopwatch and time how long the pink color takes to disappear and for each block to turn colorless. Children, to ensure this reliability, we should repeat this experiment 3 times. Now we can see some pictures how we can do this experiment. Children, now look at this table. Length of the side of cube, volume of a cube, surface area of cube and ratio of surface area to volume of cube. The smallest cube has the largest surface area to volume ratio. I think you have noticed this. Smallest cube has the largest surface area to volume ratio. The same is true of cells. A small cell has a larger surface area to volume ratio than a large cell. Now what can we conclude from this experiment? Now we will see the conclusion. From these results, we can see that the surface area to volume ratio and effect on how fast diffusion occurred. As the agar cubes were cut smaller, the ratio of surface area to volume became larger and this affected the diffusion rate by making it faster. Which cube would be the first to turn colorless and which the last? Explain your answers. Can you all, children? Now we will see what are the safety precautions you should follow in this experiment. HCl is an hydrochloric acid is an irritant, so eye protection should be worn. Cut away from oneself and take care with sharp edges. Active transport. Children, you know about now diffusion. Diffusion happens because of the kinetic energy of the particles. It does not need any extra energy. However, sometimes in a cell we need to take in substance when there is very little of that substance outside the cell. In other words, again the concentration gradient. It can do this by another process. What is that? That process is active transport. Movement of molecules from areas of low concentration to areas of the high concentration level. You can see a picture that man is pushing a stone to up. You know, if it is very easy, if we can push a stone from up to down. If we want to push a stone from down to up, we have to give more energy. Like that, active transport. Active transport requires energy. During active transport, a cell uses energy from respiration to take substance. Rather like a pump uses energy to move liquid from one place to another. In fact, biologists speak of the cell pumping molecules in or out. The pumps are large protein molecules located in the cell membrane, and they are driven by the breakdown of ATP. An example of place where this happens. Yes, an example of a place where this happens is in the human small intestine. The roots of plants to take up certain minerals ion this way. Cells use active transport to control the uptake of many substances. Now you can see this picture how active transport happens. Osmosis. Osmosis is the name of process which water moves into and out of cells. It is the net movement of solvent like water across a semi-permeable membrane from a less concentrated solution into a more concentrated one, thus equalizing the concentration on each side of the membrane. Children, this is the third method. The substance passes through in and out of the cells. In order to understand how water moves through a plant, you need to understand the mechanism of osmosis. Children, now we will see the experiment of osmosis. Whisking tube is an artificial partially permeable membrane. This is used in kidney dialysis machine. Whisking tubing has microscopic holes in it, which let some molecules like water to pass through it. But children, it is not permeable to some sugar, large molecules such as sugar, sucrose. This is why it's called partially permeable. Larger molecules like starch and sucrose cannot pass through it. You can show the effects of osmosis by filling a whisking tubing sausage with concentrated sucrose solution. You can see in the picture, you can see the red color shows the sucrose solution which fills in the whisking tube. Attaching into a capillary tube and placing the whisking tube in a beaker of water. You can see the picture. See, the outside is water, inside sucrose solutions. Now think what will happen. What water level will be rise, or inside the whisking tube the sucrose level will be rise. Whisking tube is a partially permeable. You know, only water molecule can pass through it. Yes, children, we can observe the inside the whisking tube sucrose level is going up, raising up. The reason, what is the reason? This movement is due to osmosis. You can understand what is happening if you imagine highly magnified view of the whisking tube is separated into two liquids. I will show you that later. Tell me now what will happen here. You can see water pass through the whisking tube membrane to the solution of sucrose. Because of that, sucrose solution is increased. We will see now this what is happening through this picture. The sucrose molecules are too big to pass through the holes in the partially permeable membrane. You can see in this picture the green color particles. The water molecules, blue color, can pass through the membrane in other direction. but those on the right are attached to sugar molecules. This slows them down and means that they are less free to move. They have less kinetic energy. As a result of this, what is happening? More water molecules diffuse from left to right than from right to left. In the other words, there is a greater diffusion of water molecules from the more dilute solution to the more concentration solution. Now see this picture. Here Putta, the opposite happens. I have filled the whisking tubing with water, but outside is sucrose solution. Think what will happen, can you imagine? What will happen to the water level in the whisking tube? You know, whisking tube is a partially permeable and only water can go inside through it. Then what you can observe is whisking tube, the water level falls down because it goes to the outside sucrose solution. This happened because of the osmosis. Now see this picture. Both I have filled with water. Whisking tube filled with water and the outside also water. Are there any change happens? No, there is no change happens in this picture. Right, now we will summarize this. Liquid outside, liquid inside, how water moves. Liquid outside water, inside sucrose, the water moves outside to inside. See the results, liquid level rises. Now see liquid outside is sucrose, inside is water. That is the second picture what I have showed you. From the inside, the water moves to the outside. Because of that, whisking tube water level falls. Third one, water, it means the third picture. No movement happens and no visible changes happened. Now last one, I didn't show you the picture. Just think, I am going to put the same concentration level sucrose in both whisking tube and the outside water. Can you see any movement? No movement and no visible changes. Now children, we will see the differences between osmosis and diffusion. Osmosis versus diffusion. Osmosis, it's limited only to liquid media. Diffusion occurs in liquid, gas, even solids. Osmosis requires a semi-permeable membrane, but diffusion does not need a semi-permeable membrane. Osmosis depends on the number of solute particles dissolved in solvent, but diffusion depends on the presence of other particles. Osmosis requires water for the movement of particles, but diffusion do not require water for the movement of particles. Only the solvent molecules can diffuse in osmosis, but the diffusion, both the molecules of solute and solvent can be diffused. The flow of particles occur only in one direction in osmosis, but the diffusion, the flow of particles occur in all the directions. The entire process can either be stopped or reversed by applying additional pressure on the solution side, that is for osmosis. But diffusion, this process can neither be stopped nor reversed. Osmosis in plant cell. Plant cells have a strong cellular cell wall outside the cell membrane. Children, so far we have only been dealing with osmosis through whisking tubing. However, there are partially permeable membranes in cells too. You know that. The cell surface membranes of both animal and plant cells are partially permeable, and so is the inner membrane around the plant cell vacuole. The cell wall is fully permeable to all the molecules and supports the cell and stops it bursting when it gains water by osmosis. Around the plant cell is the tough cellulose cell wall. This outer structure keeps the shape of the cell and can resist change in pressure inside the cell. This is very important and critical in explaining the way that plants are supported. The cell contents, including the sap vacuole, contain many dissolved solutes such as sugar and sugars and ions. If a plant cells are placed in a solution of increasing solute concentration, or for an example, pure water. Think about that. If we put the plant inside the pure water, in pure water the cell contents push against the cell wall and the cell becomes turgid. Around the plant cell, put into pure water of a dilute solution, the content of the cell have lower water potential than the external solution. So the cell will absorb more water by osmosis and then cell then swells up and the cytoplasm push against the cell wall. A plant cell that has developed an internal pressure like this is called turgid. You can see the picture. On the other hand, children, if the cell is placed in a concentrated sucrose solution that has a low water potential than the cell contains, what will happen? In a more concentrated solution, the cell contents lose water by osmosis and they shrink and pull away from the cell wall. And the cell becomes flaccid. Eventually, the cell contents shrink so much that the membrane and cytoplasm split away from the cell wall and gaps appear between the wall and the membrane. We are calling this, it is becoming plasmolysed. Now see the picture. Now you can see the cell has become plasmolysed. Now, if we put highly concentrated solution, what will happen? In a very concentrated solution, the cell will undergo full plasmolysis as the cell lose more water. Plant cells would then lose water by osmosis. You can see the picture. The space between the cell wall and the cell surface membranes will now be filled with the sucrose solution. Now children, we will see some animal cells. You know, osmosis also happens in animal cells, but there is much less water movement. This is because why? Because animal cells do not have a strong cell wall around them. Red blood cell placed in a solution with the same water concentration, it means the same level. What can you observe? Will not experience an overall change in volume. It is not changing. No osmosis occurs. Now, when we put these red blood cells in the dilute solution, see what will happen? The cells will then burst, isn't it, our children? Then, red blood cell placed in a solution with a higher water concentration. Compare the contents pure water. What will happen? From the outside, water enters the red blood cells through the membrane. Will gain water by osmosis and swell up and burst. You can see the picture. Water will diffuse from higher water concentration outside the cell to a low water concentration inside the cell. Because of that, cell will burst. Now children, we will see when we put the blood cells surrounded by concentrated solution. Blood cells surrounded by concentrated solution, you can see the solution with a low water concentration compared to the contents will lose water by osmosis and shrink. You can see the picture, the blood cells have become shrink. Now children, we will see investigating the effects of osmosis in onion epidermis cells. You can see the picture how we can cut the onion epidermis cells and how we are keeping and how we can observe through the microscope. Now we will see the method one by one. A drop of concentrated sucrose solution is placed on one microscope slide and a drop of distilled water on a second slide. Then we have to take two small squares of inner epidermis of an onion, transform it to the sucrose solution and both slides. Then we have to cover by a cover slip. Each slide is examined through the microscope for several minutes. Now what are the observations you can see? These are the observations you can see through the microscope. You can see the picture. We will describe the observation now. The specimen in water will show turgid cell. Why? The reason. because water enters to the cell through osmosis. But the specimen in sucrose solution will show plasmolysis. It means from the cell it has gone water outside. Investigating the effects of osmosis on potato tuber tissues. Now we will see the picture osmosis in potatoes. First we will see what are the things we need for this experiment. We need 3 potato stripes and we need 2 petri dish and 2 solution, equal volume of solution, A sucrose or salt solution, B distilled water, and we need an empty dish for control, and paper towels and stopwatch any timing device, top pan balance and the ruler. We will see the method now. How can we do this experiment? Observe each stripe by feeling it. Okay, you can observe nothing whether it is turgid or flaccid and record this. Nothing has happened. Weight and measure each potato stripe, recording the initial mass and length. Place a stripe in each petri dish, taking care not to mix the stripes. Start the timer. Remove the stripes after 50 minutes and dab on tissues. You can wipe it. Weight each stripe and measure each potato stripe, recording the final mass and the length. Observe each stripe by feeling it, nothing whether it is turgid or flaccid. Record this. That one also you have to record. Then you can perform these recordings in the calculation for the mass and length using the formula. Percentage of change in mass divided by starting mass by multiplied by 100. Record your results in a table. Now children, you can record your results in this table and see what has happened in the stripes in water. What can you observe the description? That potato stripe will be turgid. The reason because of osmosis. From the osmosis, water enter to the potato stripe. They increase in mass of the potato stripe. Now children, we will see the potato stripe in sucrose solution. What can you observe? The description is flaccid. The reason why? Okay, because sucrose solution has low water concentration level than the potato stripe. Then from the potato stripe, water enter to the sucrose solution. When we compare the mass, the decrease in the mass of the potato stripe is due to the movement of water molecules outside. What can you do? The control one? Stripes in air. It is the control one. What is the description? Slightly flaccid. We didn't put any water or concentration solution, but it is slightly flaccid. The reason is this stripe has the control and does not change in texture. However, in reality it because it loses some water by evaporation from the cut surface and become dehydrated. That's why those stripes are flaccid. What can you tell about the mass in the air? Mass change are minimal because water lose only little water. We can summarize from this one. See, potato tubes pure water. The potato tubes swell because of water enters their cells by osmosis. When we put in the high sugar solution or sucrose solution, salt solution, what can you observe? The potato tubes shrink because water leaves their cells due to osmosis. Children, now I have finished explaining the lesson. Shall we try these questions? Can you? Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a nice day.